Today I'm working on a Zodiac. It's a Zodiac boat and I'm working on the antenna. The customer by accident broke the old antenna, the Shakespeare antenna, because the antenna design does not suggest that once you remove the coil you actually break the coaxial cable inside. You assume that all the antennas in the world are designed to be removable, like you see the VHF antenna on the opposite side of the plate, and they try to remove the coil. I don't know, maybe for clearance or maybe because the whip was broken on the old antenna, and when they unscrewed this coil, the old coil, they broke the cable inside. So now there was a hanging cable and I had to remove the old cable, remove it from where it goes onto this tube. It's a stainless steel tube. It goes all the way down to the boat hull at the bottom, and it goes through a harness into the radio. And I thought it's going to be an easy job for me because the tube is kind of big, but the thing is, along the way there are a couple of bottlenecks. So it's a bunch of cable that is twisted. When they installed one cable at a time, they didn't install it as a harness with parallel cables to each other. They probably fished one at a time, and of course when you use some fish tape or some other device like that, you end up having cable twisted, and the cable go between other two cables, and it's lots of rubbing force when you want to fish a new cable or pull the old cable out. And also there are kind of bottlenecks here. You see these bolts here, there is another one down there, and every time the cable has to go around the bolt, it squeezes and it makes it very hard, very difficult to run a new cable or pull the old cable out. And also on top of that, there is a plastic that gets old, aged, and require lots of rubbing force. And the boat goes on the ocean, and it's a marine environment with salty water vapors, and makes things worse. So the marine environment is really not good for plastic. And so in order to get the new cable into this tube back to the radio, so I had to remove these tie wraps here. So you see the new cable, I left kind of a loop, because it kind of I use it as a strain relief. When they move the antenna up and down, probably 50-60 times a year. I don't know how many times they go in the water. This cable is going to last a number of years. Instead of having the cable kind of bending here where it goes into the hole. So it kind of adds extra life to the cable. And this is a swivel mount type. So if you've never seen one, maybe you learn from this recording. So you can kind of improve the clearance when you get the boat out of a small confined space or maybe a garage. And what I did, I attached the old cable to the new cable, and now I had to use lots of grease. And also I removed this light because this is kind of a halfway, and I sprayed grease inside the tube. And because the tube kind of bends here, every time you have a cable into a conduit or a tube at the bend area, you have a lot of friction, lot of rubbing force. So I sprayed inside the tube, make it easier. But the thing is, was still not going. So I had to push this old wire, push there, pull down there, push like 1 inch at a time. It took me 1 hour to pull the old cable out and have the new cable run into this tube. And it was a kind of a not pleasant job, but the positive side of every job you have to see if you work on this field and don't want to end up hating your workplace or your job is that you have to see the positive. For me, it was a good workout. I needed to get rid of the stiffness of my back in the morning after a long weekend trip. So I'm happy. I'm really happy. Take care. Bye-bye.